7 Stoic Habits to Control Your Emotions and Earn Instant Respect. Most people don't control their emotions control them. You see it every day. Someone cuts you off in traffic and rage takes the wheel. A stranger's comment online ruins an entire day. A simple disagreement becomes a battlefield for validation. We live in a world where emotional impulsiveness has become normal, where calmness is mistaken for weakness and loudness is mistaken for strength. But the Stoics saw things differently. They believed that the man who rules himself is mightier than the man who conquers cities, because real power isn't about dominating others, it's about commanding your own mind when everything around you demands a reaction. This is the silent strength that earns respect without words, the composure that makes others listen without you ever raising your voice. Today, you'll discover 7 Stoic habits that will teach you how to master that strength. These aren't abstract ideas or empty motivational lines. They're practical tools used by philosophers, emperors, and warriors to stay calm in the face of chaos. Each one is designed to train your emotions to serve you, not enslave you. So as you watch, I want you to reflect. How often do you let emotion dictate your response? How often do you speak too soon, react too fast, regret too late? What would change in your life if you could pause, observe, and act from reason rather than impulse? Because the moment you stop reacting, you start leading. The moment you stop defending your ego, you start gaining respect. And the moment you learn to master emotion, you unlock the one thing most people never reach: peace of mind. Let's begin. Because true power isn't about dominance, it's about composure. Habit 1, the pause of power. The Stoics understood that the most dangerous moment in life isn't when something bad happens, it's the moment right after, when emotion demands an immediate reaction. That tiny space between impulse and action is where wars begin, relationships end, and peace is either protected or destroyed. It's also the exact space where the Stoic finds freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The ability to pause is that power in motion. It's the quiet rebellion against the world's demand for instant response. When someone insults you, criticizes you, or tests your limits, your instinct is to defend your ego. But the Stoic does something different. He lets the fire burn without stepping into it. Imagine someone shouting at you, trying to provoke a reaction. Most people fight back, matching anger with anger. The Stoic breathes, observes, and delays. That delay is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the gap where reason takes control, where you choose response over reaction. That pause makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability makes you powerful. This habit isn't about suppression, it's about direction. The goal isn't to bury your feelings, but to guide them. Anger can become clarity, fear can become alertness, sadness can become depth. Every emotion has potential energy. The Stoic simply refuses to waste it on noise. Start practicing the pause. When tension rises, say nothing. Breathe once, twice, and remind yourself, I am not my emotion. I am the observer of it. That single second of restraint will earn you more respect than 1,000 emotional outbursts ever could. Because control isn't shown in reaction, it's revealed in stillness. The pause of power is the foundation of emotional mastery, but it's only the beginning. Once you've learned to delay reaction, you must learn to discipline what happens in your mind during that silence. Habit 2, mastering inner language. The Stoics knew that the words we use inside our own minds can either chain us to chaos or set us free from it. Every emotion begins with interpretation, and interpretation begins with language. If you say, "I'm furious," your body obeys. It prepares for battle. But if you say, "A wave of anger is passing through me," your mind remains the commander, not the servant. Language shapes perception. When you call something a disaster, your mind believes it's the end. When you call it a challenge, your mind looks for solutions. The Stoics didn't deny emotion, they redefined it through rational words. This is what they meant by logos, the power of reason to govern the soul. Modern people speak to themselves like enemies. They feed the mind with exaggeration and judgment until emotion takes full control. The Stoic, however, speaks with precision. He trains his inner voice to describe events as they are, not as his feelings wish them to be. Instead of "everything is ruined," he says, "This didn't go as planned, but I can adapt." Instead of "they disrespected me," he says, "They acted from their own weakness, not mine." This habit rewires your emotional system. When you change the words, you change the meaning. When you change the meaning, you change your experience. Over time, your internal dialogue becomes calmer, cleaner, and sharper. You no longer drown in emotion because you've built a language that floats. To master your inner language, observe how you speak to yourself after a mistake, a rejection, or a loss. Replace emotional exaggeration with objective description. Replace judgment with curiosity. The Stoic mind isn't emotionless, it's emotionally disciplined. It names reality without distortion, and in doing so, it regains control. When your thoughts become your allies, your emotions become your instruments. And once you rule your words, you begin to rule your world. But perception is the next frontier. Because even with disciplined language, your view of reality can still betray you. Habit 3. The discipline of perception. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Yet before reaction comes perception, the lens through which you see the world. Two people can live the same day and experience entirely different realities. One sees problems everywhere, the other sees opportunities hiding in the same chaos. The Stoics' discipline lies in choosing which lens to use. The undisciplined mind rushes to interpret. It labels every event as good or bad, fair or unfair, success or failure. But the Stoic delays judgment. He looks at life as a scientist observes an experiment, without emotional commentary. This doesn't make him detached from life, it makes him immune to distortion. The world remains the same, but his perception transforms it into wisdom instead of suffering. When a Stoic loses something, he doesn't say, "I was robbed." He says, "It was returned to nature." When plans collapse, he doesn't say, "I failed." He says, "Reality showed me another path." This shift of perception removes the poison from pain. It's not denial, it's reframing. It's the art of turning the uncontrollable into training. Modern life feeds us distorted perceptions. Social media tells us everyone else is winning. News convinces us the world is burning. We are constantly invited to see through fear, envy, and outrage. The Stoic rejects this manipulation. He practices mental minimalism by filtering perception. He asks, "Is this within my control? Is this opinion or fact?" If not, he withdraws his attention, the most valuable currency of the mind. Every morning, remind yourself, "Today, I will meet people who are ignorant, ungrateful, or arrogant. But none of them can disturb my peace unless I give them permission." Marcus Aurelius wrote those words not as comfort, but as armor. Perception is your first line of defense. When you control perception, you master the battlefield before it begins. The world becomes your classroom, not your cage. But to maintain that calm vision, you must also clear the clutter of emotion that clouds it. And that's where emotional minimalism begins. Habit 4. Emotional minimalism. Modern society worships intensity, constant reaction, endless noise, and emotional display disguised as authenticity. We scroll through outrage, envy, and comparison until our minds are exhausted. The Stoics would look at this world and see not expression, but addiction. Addiction to emotional excess. They believed that peace is not found in feeling more, but in needing less. Emotional minimalism is the art of conserving inner energy. Just as a minimalist removes clutter from their home, the Stoic removes emotional clutter from the mind. Every unnecessary reaction, every argument, every overthinking loop drains strength that could be used for growth. When you stop investing in trivial emotions, you regain power over your inner world. Seneca warned, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." Most of our pain isn't real. It's imagined, replayed, or borrowed from others. We drown in stories that don't belong to us. The Stoic frees himself by asking, "Is this worth my peace?" If the answer is no, silence becomes the response. Practice emotional minimalism by choosing where your attention goes. Avoid the theater of outrage that demands constant opinion. Limit conversations that pull you into gossip or complaint. Stop feeding your mind with endless stimulation. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, you sharpen the edge of your composure. This restraint doesn't make you cold, it makes you rare. In a world screaming for validation, the one who remains calm becomes magnetic. People respect the presence that doesn't crave attention, the calm that cannot be shaken. That's emotional elegance, power disguised as peace. When your emotions stop spilling everywhere, they begin to build pressure, direction, and purpose. You stop reacting and start radiating control. The Stoic doesn't carry what doesn't belong to him. His emotions are few but pure, like a clear lake untouched by storms. But true restraint is not only about silence within, it's also about silence without. The next habit takes this control to its highest form, mastering the weight of your presence through words unspoken. Habit 5. The power of silent observation. Silence has become rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. In a world where everyone rushes to speak, the one who listens commands attention. The Stoics mastered the discipline of silence not as avoidance, but as dominance over impulse. They knew that words spoken in anger are weapons turned against oneself, and silence, when used wisely, disarms chaos without conflict. When you speak less, you hear more. Not only others, but yourself. You notice what most people miss: tone, intention, truth behind words. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Silence gives you that space, the space to understand before you react, to see without distortion. The moment you stop trying to prove yourself, you become someone who naturally earns respect. In conflict, people expect resistance. When you offer none, you unbalance them. A calm gaze, a pause, a measured breath. These small acts of restraint carry a weight louder than argument. They show mastery. The Stoic never rushes to correct or impress. He lets reality reveal itself. That patience becomes presence, and presence becomes power. Practice silent observation as a habit of strength. In conversation, listen fully before forming judgment. In disagreement, notice how silence shifts control. In moments of stress, step back mentally and watch your thoughts move like clouds, temporary, drifting, harmless, unless you chase them. The modern mind equates silence with weakness, but history proves the opposite. The wisest leaders, philosophers, and warriors used silence as a shield and as a weapon. When you no longer need to fill every gap with noise, you begin to radiate authority. Your calmness speaks louder than your words ever could. The power of silence is not in absence, it's in awareness. It allows you to see yourself, others, and the moment as they are. And from that observation rises the next Stoic habit: reflection, the sacred ritual that transforms awareness into wisdom. Habit 6. Ritual of reflection. The Stoics didn't end their day with distraction, they ended it with reflection. Long before journaling became a trend, Marcus Aurelius was writing his meditations, not to impress others, but to confront himself. Reflection is the Stoic's nightly mirror, where strength is measured not by achievements, but by composure under pressure. Each evening he would ask, "What did I do well? Where did I fall short? What will I do differently tomorrow?" This ritual wasn't about guilt, it was about growth. The Stoic understood that self-awareness is the soil where self-mastery grows. You cannot control what you refuse to observe. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom, turning emotional reactions into lessons that refine your discipline. Modern life leaves no room for silence. We end our days numbed by screens, lost in noise that hides our own thoughts. That's why reflection feels uncomfortable. It forces us to face the truth. But the Stoic welcomes that discomfort because it reveals the gap between who we were and who we're becoming. Every insight gained through reflection sharpens clarity and removes illusions. To practice this, take 5 quiet minutes before sleep. Replay your day like a film, without judgment. Notice the moments when anger took over, when pride spoke too loudly, when fear stopped you from acting. Don't condemn yourself, analyze. Ask what triggered you, what belief was challenged, what truth you ignored. Then write a single sentence. Tomorrow, I will respond differently. This simple act rewires the mind. Over time, you stop repeating mistakes because you've made awareness a habit. Reflection is mental hygiene. It clears emotional residue before it hardens into regret. It keeps your inner life organized, intentional, and free from the chaos of unconscious living. Through reflection, you realize mastery isn't built in moments of success, but in how you interpret your failures. That's where strength grows quietly, in the night when you face yourself with honesty. And from that self-awareness comes the highest Stoic art of all, turning pain itself into power. Habit 7. The art of emotional transmutation. Every emotion you feel carries energy. Anger burns, fear tightens, sadness weighs heavy. Most people let this energy consume them. They drown in it, react to it, or numb it with distractions. The Stoic, however, does something far more powerful. He transforms it. This is the art of emotional transmutation, the ability to convert emotional energy into fuel for clarity, strength, and progress. When Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, he didn't seek revenge. He sought understanding. When Epictetus endured pain, he didn't curse fate, he studied it. The Stoic mind sees emotion as raw material, neutral until shaped by reason. Just as fire can destroy or forge steel, emotion can weaken or strengthen depending on how you use it. This practice begins with awareness. When you feel anger rising, don't suppress it. Study it. Ask, what truth is hidden inside this feeling? Anger often points to a violated value. Fear exposes attachment. Sadness reveals meaning. Instead of reacting, redirect. Channel anger into focus. Use fear as preparation. Let grief deepen gratitude. Amor fati, love of fate, is the Stoics' alchemy. It means embracing every experience, pleasant or painful, as necessary for your evolution. Nothing is wasted. Every hardship becomes a tool. To love fate is to stop fighting reality and start using it. You no longer ask, why did this happen to me? You ask, how can this serve me? In that question, your emotions shift from enemies to allies. Pain becomes discipline. Disappointment becomes patience. Rejection becomes redirection. You stop seeing emotions as obstacles and start seeing them as teachers. This is how Stoics turn life's fire into light. When you practice emotional transmutation, people sense your strength without understanding it. They see calm where others would rage, peace where others would break. That composure earns respect, not because you're detached, but because you've turned your inner chaos into order. And once you master this art, you reach the final stage of Stoic evolution, the Stoic shift, where emotion no longer rules you, but serves your higher purpose. You began this journey searching for control, for a way to stop being ruled by what you feel. But control is only the surface. What you've been building through these habits is something far deeper: composure. The kind of composure that stands firm in storms, speaks calmly in chaos, and leads without demanding authority. When you pause instead of reacting, when you choose words with precision, when you filter your perception and let silence guide your strength, you become unshakable. That's the Stoic shift, the quiet transformation from emotional prisoner to emotional commander. You no longer chase calm, you create it. You no longer beg for respect. It's given to you naturally because people sense power in those who can master themselves. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet feared losing control of his own mind more than losing his throne. Seneca wrote of serenity while surrounded by corruption and greed. Epictetus, once a slave, found freedom not in chains broken but in emotion mastered. Their lesson was timeless. Power is not found in dominance, but in discipline. So when life tests you, and it will, remember this: you are not required to react. You are not your anger, your anxiety, or your impulse. You are the awareness behind them, capable of transforming every emotion into wisdom. The Stoic doesn't suppress emotion, he redirects it towards something greater. Imagine what would happen if you lived this way daily. If every argument became a test of patience, every obstacle a chance to train your strength, every insult an opportunity to rise above ego. That's how you earn respect, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. The world doesn't need louder voices, it needs steadier minds. Be the one who brings calm to chaos, reason to emotion, peace to reaction. That is the Stoic path, not cold detachment, but conscious mastery. Subscribe to stay grounded in Stoic wisdom for the modern world, where silence commands respect, composure becomes power, and mastery begins within.